Networking is hard when you're in the office, at a conference, at a dinner party. There's always this very tough moment of starting the conversation, having this small talk in order to smoothen things up and start having a nice time together. And I understand that very well. I'm a business owner myself, and I have to do tons of networking, talking with all sorts of people who I don't know. And I used to find it very uncomfortable, very tiring. And now this is one of my favorite parts of my work. And being a communication coach myself, I've tried to pack this experience that I have so I can share it with you and it can be less of a burden for you. Because small talks, they are crucial for having a good networking, and networking is sometimes essential for career development or personal brand development or just, some goals that you're trying to achieve. So today I'm going to tell you how to nail small talks and how to actually make them interesting for you. I'm Greg, co-founder of Bismarck Communication Studio, and for the last 10 years, I've been coaching engineers to CEOs to enhance their communication and public speaking skills. I share proven and science-based communication advice here every week. So if you like something like that, hit subscribe button. And with that, let's dive in. Here's what most people think about small talks. It is meaningless. You're talking about nothing. You're just wasting time and you're waiting for the better conversation to arrive afterwards. But here is what small talk actually is. It's your way to connect. It's an instrument to synchronize with other people. Because imagine you just met this random person. You don't know nothing about each other. You don't know whether you are aligned in your values, what are safe and unsafe topics, what's your communication styles, and whether or not you have anything in common at all. So jumping right into the deep conversation is simply impossible, and you need some sort of calibration. This calibration is your small talk. Small talk is your way of saying yes to each other a couple of times, having some maybe not so deep conversation, but still engage with each other in the conversation. And this way, you will have better experience talking to each other later. So seeing small talks as shallow talks, this is part of the problem. And this is the change of mindset you are looking for to start having better small talks overall. But there is another reason why people don't like small talks, because most of them are genuinely bad at it. People don't really know how to have these sorts of conversation, because when you're saying, well, weather is good, and the other person saying, yeah, and that's it, you're standing in an awkward silence together. Of course, you don't like this type of situation. Of course, you find it disturbing to have this type of interaction. But small talks doesn't have to be like that. You can help another person to have some good time, and you can have better time yourself. Here's what helped me personally. I started seeing it as a game, to have the most interesting and the most engaging conversation possible with all sorts of random people. And this reframing, it actually helped me to turn it into fun instead of a burden. So let's talk about how to actually do it. First, look for questions that are easy to answer. You want some questions that people don't struggle answering too much. Something from their memory, but something without any judgment involved. So, for example, the bad question would be, tell me a funny story about your job, or tell me a funny story from your job. And immediately this person starts to think, okay, well, would this story be funny enough? Would it be interesting enough to tell about this? Or this person will find me boring, not doing anything interesting or funny, okay? And all that puts a lot of weight, a lot of pressure onto another person. They don't really enjoy answering this question. Instead, you can say something very simple, and this is personally one of my favorite questions for the small talk. You can ask something like, what was your first job? So this question is just a memory question, memory-based question. It is very easy to answer. Everybody remembers their first job. And you can choose what job you consider the first one, right? So you can say either your first work as a waiter was your first job, or you can say that your, I don't know, your first full-time job was your first job, right? And you have two different stories about that, and you are free to choose which one to tell. Either way, this person would probably be happy to tell you about these good old days, and this question would definitely start a nice conversation. So look for questions that you like. Look for something that would genuinely be interesting for you to know about other people. Test them out, see how people respond, and use the best ones. So the second step, follow-up questions. When someone answered, don't just immediately skip to another topic. Show your interest and try to dig a little deeper. Ask them some follow-ups that will help to expand the story that they're telling, to show that you're genuinely interested in what they're telling, and this will probably feel great to this person. But what follow-ups to ask about? And here's step 3. Focus on positive memories, not negative ones. When you're asking a follow-up question, you may ask something like, okay, what was the hardest thing, the most difficult thing that you were doing at your first job? Immediately, this person would be probably happy to tell you about it. They would probably tell you the whole thing. They would tell you about all the struggles they had. But the issue is that they would probably be happy to bury those memories with you and move on to the next conversation away from you instead of having this discussion with you. And also, they will probably associate those negative memories with this conversation, so probably be less of a pleasant moment for them. Instead, when you are asking them to remember the best thing from this job, or maybe you're asking, oh, did you find any nice colleagues there? Or do you remember anybody from there? Are you still in touch with them? Or maybe what was the biggest revelation? What was the biggest lesson you learned at this job? They immediately become not only happy to share, but they also become happy while they are sharing this information with you. Because it is a nice memory, it is a nice feeling, and now this conversation associates with this nice feeling, so it is a better outcome for you. And the final step, give space. Don't rush in with your own stories and your own takes. Don't be this guy who says, hey, everybody, let's tell a story. I'll start. Don't be this guy who just jumps in and, grabs the conversation and holds it to themselves. Let other people talk. Listen to them. When you're asking question, give them maybe some time to think. When you ask the question and another person is just standing in silence thinking, what should I answer? Just give them that second. It would probably feel very refreshing for them because most of the time, most of the people are just eager to speak about themselves and eager to tell their funny story, joke, or something like that. And it is very nice when others are listening to you. So be this person who listens, give them some space, some time, and people will appreciate it. And here's my final take. Most people see small talks from the wrong end. They don't start the conversation because they think, yeah, I'm not very interested in all these people around me. And of course you're not. Of course you're not interested because you didn't have a chance to ask any of those questions we discussed. You didn't have a chance to give them the space to listen to their stories, and maybe some of those people are completely boring. You don't have to deal with them. But some of those might be hidden gems that are just waiting to be discovered. And small talks that are done well are something that might help you discover those people, discover those new interesting connections, and become genuinely interested in stories that they are telling. So don't wait for motivation, start with practice and see how motivation comes during the conversation. And here's what we covered. Small talks aren't shallow. It is just a calibration, your way of starting the conversation and then smoothing it with some questions and genuine interest in another person. Way of reducing barriers between you and establishing a real connection. And to do that, you can ask simple memory-based questions. When you get the answer, you can ask follow-up questions. Focus on positive memories more than on negative ones. And give space. Don't rush in with your own stories. Listen to people and make them feel heard. Treat it like a game, practice, and the more you do it, the more you'll notice how you start enjoying these conversations, how you start finding this right people who you're genuinely interested in, and you will enjoy it more and more. And I hope it will help you professionally as well. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy the one that I recorded previously about why your ideas might get overheard in meetings and in important discussions. And don't forget, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.